Start editing in Adobe Premiere Pro fast. Learn the essentials to edit your videos in 7 easy steps and stick around until the end for a few quick pro tips. 7. Creating a project. Open Premiere Pro. Here it's going to take us to the home interface where you can see your recent projects. If this is your first time, you won't have anything here. In the top left, you can create a new project or open a project. Let's go ahead and create one from scratch by clicking New Project. Here it's going to take us to the import section where we can select video from our computer that we want to add to our project. I don't like to do it this way because there's an easier way if we create our project first. So all I'm going to do here is name my project Trial and select a project location where I want to save this Premiere Pro project file. Then at the bottom right, I'll create the project by clicking Create. Now that we've created our project, you guys can see the directory at the top of the page here. This part is called the editing panel where you're going to be editing and working on your project. Now what we need to do is add the video files that we want to edit. So over here in my File Explorer, I have 2 files that I want to add. I'm just going to click and drag these in like so. Then drag in the second one and drop it. Now you guys can see that our video files are inside of our timeline and you can see the preview up top. Now we've created a project in Premiere Pro and added some media. 6. Panels. Now that we've created a project and added some media, what I want to do is walk you guys through what's going on here. So this is your overall editing panel right here, but each one of these sections is called a panel grouping. And this is how I like to have my editing panel set up overall. You guys can customize this however you want. If you're a beginner, go up here to Window, Workspaces, and you guys can see a bunch of different options here. I recommend using Essentials because it's the most straightforward, but let's say I want to select this one and try it out. You can click on it and it's going to adjust your editing panel. But for now, I'm going to go back and select Essentials. And up here in the top left, we have the project panel where our video files are stored. So you guys can see I have the first video file here and the second one here. And this third one is the entire sequence of video files. Over here in the middle, we have the program monitor. This is basically like a preview where you can play back your video. So I'll go ahead and play it with this button here. Here's a sample file for the Premiere Pro tutorial. Here in the top right, this panel group doesn't have a particular name, but it has a bunch of different options. First, we have the effect controls. Can't see anything yet because to access the controls, you need to select a video, and now we can see position, scale, and a whole bunch of other things we can manipulate. Next, we have lumetri color. This lets us add brightness, contrast, saturation, etc. Essential graphics. This will provide us with template graphics we can use, and this is also where you edit text. Next, if we click on these 2 arrows, it'll open the little drop down and we can select Essential Sound. This is where you can clean up audio and manipulate audio all in Premiere Pro without having to use another program. And lastly, we have text. Here you can manipulate text, but you can also create captions here. Down here at the bottom left, we have the toolbar. There's a bunch of stuff going on here, but I want you to focus on 3 essential tools for now. 1, the selection tool, 2, the razor tool, and 3, the type tool. Those are the most important ones that you're going to be constantly using. Next, we have the timeline. This is where your video files are going to be. The top half is going to be the video portion, and the bottom half is going to be the audio. And here you can even stack video files over each other like so, move stuff around, and scrub through footage like so. Lastly, we have the audio levels. This is going to be located in the bottom right in my case. If I go ahead and play back the video, you guys will see what happens. Here's a sample file for the Premiere Pro tutorial. The audio levels let you know if your audio is too loud or not loud enough. 5, essential editing. Let's actually edit our video now. So what I want to do is use this scroll bar down at the bottom. This is going to let me zoom in and zoom out of the timeline so I can get more accurate cuts. Now what I want to do is make sure that I have the razor tool selected. And to go back and forth between the selection and the razor tool, the shortcut for the selection is V and for the razor is C. Now I want to go right where the audio starts here or when I start talking. And you guys can see that up here at the top in the preview. And you guys can also see where I start talking in the audio file below. So all I want to do is use the razor tool and click right here and it will make a cut. But be careful, because if you don't have the snap in timeline option selected, it won't cut right along this blue line here. So what you need to do is make sure that this is selected, and now it will snap to this little blue line. And once I make that cut, I'll go back to the selection tool with V, select this video clip, and just backspace or delete. Now I can use the selection tool to move this to the start of my video, but what I like to do is just select this space with my selection tool and just hit backspace, and it'll put it right at the start of your video. Now I can do this again where I stop talking right here using the razor tool, selection tool, select, and delete. For transitions and effects, so what I want to do now is show you guys how you can use effects. So I want to transition between these two videos. First, what I want to do is move this right next to this video file here, and then go to the effects panel in the top left. And again, I'm using the essentials window, so this might be in a different spot if you're using a different layout. And what I want to do is go to video transitions. There's a whole bunch of stuff here that you guys can play around with, but I just want a simple dissolve effect. So I'll select this, hold cross dissolve right here, and simply drag it in. You guys can see it's not doing exactly what I want here because I want it to fade right in the middle on both video files. So I'll delete this effect. I'm going to drag this away a little bit, make sure I have the selection tool selected, and instead of having to use the razor to make a cut, I'll just put my little blue scroll bar right here and then hold this and edit it just like that. So that's another way you can make cuts without having to even use the razor tool at all. Now I'll move this right up against my other video clip, hold cross dissolve, and move it in again. So notice that it's letting me put it right between both, so I have a smoother transition. So that's an easy way to add effects to your video, and you guys can play around with all these different effects and see what you guys like. 3, adding audio. So a lot of people like to add background music and stuff to their videos. So the best way to do that is just to open it up in your file explorer and click and just drag it in like so, and make sure you're dragging it into an audio location here. Now if we play this, you guys are gonna see it's super loud. And if I put that over something like audio, you can't even hear what I'm saying. So what I want to do to make this more quiet is just right click it, and I can scroll down here to audio gain, and I can do something like -30 to make it more quiet. You guys will see that audio shrinks down, and now if I play it, it's much quieter. Here's a sample file for the Premiere Pro tutorial. So you guys can adjust it to whatever you like so. And then we also have effects for audio. So if we go back up here to our effects panel and select audio transitions, crossfade, you guys can see we can add a little constant gain, and then we have 2 other options here. So this will just help fade in the audio a little bit more smoothly. 2, text and titles. Now I'll show you guys how to add some text. What we want to do is select the type tool down here in the toolbar, and T is going to be the shortcut for that one. And then we can just go right over our video and just click like so. And let's say I want to add something like Calman web design. And to edit this, we want to use Control A to select all of that text, navigate to essential graphics, and this will let us align it like so right in the middle. We can size it down below. So if I want to make it bigger and then align it again, I can. And here we can also change the font. So I'll just select something random for now to change it. And we can select the size, the spacing, whatever we need to do to the text. And for now, I also want to change the color. So the fill, I'll just change to black. Then we can also add shadows and any other effects we want. Now that we're done editing our text, what I want to show you guys is we can see this in the timeline. So it's going to take up a certain time period right here. If we want to make this shorter, we can just click and drag it in. If we want it longer, we just drag it out and it'll last for a longer time now. 1. Exporting your video. Now that we're done editing our video, we need to go through the export process so we can actually upload this to YouTube or wherever we want to put it. So I'll go ahead and click export here, and we can also go file, export like so, but I like to click right here. And once we get into this page, it looks pretty complicated. So we can export it as a media file, and we can also export it directly to something like YouTube, TikTok, wherever we want if we select one of these options. Up here in the top is where you can name your file. So I'll just call this trial, and then the location of where I want to actually export this file to. So I'll go ahead and select a folder where I want to export this video to. So I'll just go ahead and save trial right in there, and then preset. This is fine, and just leave it as adaptive high bitrate. And down here at the bottom for our format, we want to set this to H.264. That's going to be the best one, so just go ahead and select that. Now down here under video, what we want to do is select that drop down, click more, and then we want to click render at maximum depth, and we want to use maximum render quality. And something important that we need to make sure we do is scroll all the way down here to where it says bitrate settings. Do not leave it as variable bitrate. It's notorious for having problems and not actually exporting your audio correctly if you leave it on this setting. So go ahead and select constant bitrate to make sure your audio exports accurately. And that's all we need to do for now to do a basic export. Then we can just click export. And this usually takes a little while, and it's going to depend on how long your video is. Mine's super short, so it's going to go really fast. But if you got a bunch of fancy stuff going on and over an hour long video or something, it's going to take a little while. Now in my file explorer, I can navigate to where I exported this video. You guys can see the title here, and I can play it back now. Here's a sample file for the Premiere Pro tutorial. And then from here, you can use this file and upload it to TikTok, YouTube, or wherever you want. Bonus tip 1, adding captions. To add captions, we need to navigate to text. And then what we need to do is navigate to transcript so we can transcribe whatever video clip we want to add captions to. In my case, I just want the captions for this first video clip right here. This second one doesn't have any audio, so there's nothing to add captions to anyways. So over here, I just want to make sure my first video clip is selected and then click transcribe. This will usually take a second, and it's really going to take a while if you have a really long audio or video file. Now you guys can see our basic transcription. It does it all automatically for us. Now that we have that done, navigate to captions, create captions from transcript, and here you can select some different settings. I'm just going to select usually what I do. I like to have single line, maximum length in characters. I like to set this to something like 12. Minimum duration, I like to put this all the way at 1.2, and then I can just create my captions. Now you guys can see that our captions are added, so I'll go ahead and play this back so you can see how it works. Here's a sample file for the Premiere Pro tutorial. So this is super useful for adding captions to any video, and to edit these captions, what we need to do is select all of them, go into Essential Graphics, and down here we can change the font style, the size, whatever we want. Obviously I don't want it that big, but that was just an example. Bonus tip 2, it's no secret that Adobe Creative Cloud is pretty expensive. So if you're an educator or a student, you can get a massive discount. Let's open the browser and search for Adobe Creative Cloud, and we want to scroll down until we see students and teachers, and we can click on that. So you guys can see if you're a student or an educator, instead of paying $60 a month, you'll only pay $20 a month. But be careful, that is only for the first year. So if you don't want it after that period, make sure you cancel it, or they will start charging you $60 a month. Bonus tip 3. Editing videos is an extremely time-consuming process, so a quick way to speed up that process is simply by creating a new project, and I'm going to go ahead and call this template and then create it. So here what I want to do is add in any video or audio files that I'm going to be using in every single one of my YouTube videos, for example. So if I use this clip in every single video, I'll drag it in here. And now instead of having to drag this video file into every single Premiere Pro project, I can just copy and paste to this project and it's already there and ready to go. The next thing you want to set up is you want to set up your export settings. Make sure you have these two settings selected and make sure down in video, like we talked about before, you go down to more, you have render at max depth, maximum render quality selected, and constant bitrate. So you don't have to worry about this every single time you're going to export a video. Just save this file, save it as a template, and then copy and paste that as many times as you need for all of your individual videos. And that's it. You've officially learned how to use Adobe Premiere Pro in 7 easy steps. If you have any questions or run into any problems, let me know down below in the comments and I will help you out. Thanks for watching.